Welcome back to the channel. I really enjoyed making my previous video of the hardcore solo self-found dual-wield fighter, so I thought I would do a similar run with some additional goals. For this run, my goals were to get a full kit of self-crafted copper gear, as well as a longsword, and then see how many kills I can get. So let's get into it. Similar to the previous run, I'll be starting out with Weapon Mastery as my first perk. The first run had almost no action because I actually got very lucky. One of the first boxes I broke had a pickaxe in it, so I proceeded to spend the majority of the match just mining copper. Managed to get 17 ore on my first run, and the next thing I do is start buying the white gear for the crafting components to actually make the copper gear. The next run shows that Dark and Darker is indeed a horror game as I get jump scared by this bard and panic a bit. Both of us played that terribly, but I didn't die, so I'll take it. Now is probably a good time to mention that I'm not going to bore you with clips of me just sitting there mining. Instead, I'm going to be showing you the combat that I got into, and do a couple of periodic check-ins on the status of my gear. For some reason, people really didn't want me to mine the copper. Whenever I got into a room and would sit down and start mining, I swear people would just race to stop me. But this fight in particular was a couple of people who were clearly trying to team up with me, but I'm not about that, so I'm going to try to get them both. Looks like the first guy just died to a goblin archer. Rest in peace. And the barb tried to block me with a Bardiche, so that's all I need to say there. In this fight, I tried to trade some shots with a ranger, but eventually I realized that I should just W key him. Today, this ranger learned a lesson in object permanence. And now this cleric wants the smoke. You can notice that when I tab to get a potion here, I actually have 3 pieces of copper so far in my kit. The build I'm going for is the Copper Kettle Hat, Adventurer Tunic, Plate Legs, Riveted Gloves, and Lightfoot Boots. That requires a total of 54 ore to craft. In my runs, I was averaging somewhere between 15 to 25 ore per run. I was focused on mining, so you can gear up very quickly if you want to try this too. It didn't really seem to fit the spirit of the challenge to sit there and wait for perfect rolls on all my copper gear. So what I did is, as soon as I had enough ore to craft the full kit, I just went ahead and did it, and then went back and mined some more ore, and then was constantly looking through the shops on rotation to see if I could upgrade. You may have noticed that I've been using Arming Sword and Falchion so far for this run. That's because my Weaponsmith and Goblin Merchant haven't had a Longsword up to this point. Thankfully, Ponyboy had one for me, so I dropped my blue Falchion in favor of a white Longsword. Spoiler alert, I have this Longsword for the rest of the run and was never able to upgrade, unfortunately. I managed to find a very clean Falchion parry here for the first riposte kill of the video. This fight illustrates some of the problems with running full copper gear. It's only uncommon rarity, and most of the pieces I built have pretty bad rolls, since I just wanted to gear up as soon as possible. You can see this rogue with a Grey Rondel do some real damage to me and actually almost take me out. Doesn't help that I tried to get fancy and parry the dagger, though. About a minute later, he finds me again, but this time I'm prepared. Up until this point in the run, I hadn't found a cape yet, so I really want to get this guy's dex cape. Pro tip, if you ever see a static open early in the match and you have an invis pot, you can just be a rogue. I genuinely don't know what this guy was doing. Or this barb. It's crazy to me that people in Neophyte and Apprentice are trying to be friendly. I guess they're just hard stuck. After that run, I hit level 15, so now is probably a good time to touch base on the perks I ran. I started with Weapon Mastery, and then chose Sword Mastery, Swift, and finally Shield Mastery. I took Swift to play into the theme of the Copper Gear, and Shield Mastery since it's just amazing for Longsword. Sword Mastery is the new perk that was added this patch, and that's kind of what I want to focus on. I've really been loving it. You get a little bit of extra damage and attack speed, as well as higher impact resistance on your parries. So this does have the side effect of reducing the amount of time you have to activate a riposte, but it hasn't bothered me. I definitely recommend taking it and sharpening up your ripostes. This barbarian attempts to use the classic squat and sprint my weapon out at you meta, but he clearly can't be trusted. I hear that he aggroed a bunch of mobs back in that little nook, so I think he's stuck. I'm trying to be honorable and let this guy kill the mobs first, but it's pretty clear that he's a Timmy. Man, he really made me work for that one. The other new perk that was added alongside Sword Mastery was Staff Mastery. I think the way that the scaling works on it is probably unintended since it double stacks with Ignite. But wizards are super scary right now since they can blow you up from range or 2-tap you in melee. I think adding more build diversity is great, but the scaling should be turned down a bit. Thankfully, this was a regular caster wizard, so I can just close the gap. I hit Wanderer at level 17 and have 18 kills currently. This is typically the point where lobbies start to get juiced, though. Here I backed this ranger to the corner, so I figure I might as well go for a parry. I hear someone else and the ranger starts running. Looks like we've got an angry barbarian, so I have to ditch the ranger for now. I've got to say, the servers have been feeling pretty consistent as far as parrying goes. Oh, this guy had a legendary quarterstaff. A couple minutes later, I find that ranger that the barb interrupted our fight earlier. This bard must have not heard me open the door because he was playing music or something, but I get the jump on him. I make sure to outspace the shriek. And then I hit him with the Francesca barrage. In this clip, I see a Slayer fighter running for it, and I try to pursue that as I love a guaranteed melee fight. I know I said it'd be a melee fight, but I gotta get some poke damage in first. I missed my first couple of parries, so I back up to get some space. And immediately I hear more footsteps at that door. Having no second wind and less than full HP against a barbarian is scary, but I don't really have a choice. This might look strange, the way I just run up to him, but I've had a lot of success with this strategy against the Viking sword in particular. And straight through the parry. I go for a really greedy protection pot, and the barbarian takes huge advantage of it. Here, I was really hoping I could keep running, but none of the pots are broken, so I kind of just gotta chug a pot and pray for the best. I managed to kill him with riposte, but too much damage was taken. I'm out in the zone, and there's the death. I definitely could have played that fight better, but fair play to the barbarian. He really chased me down. So there we go. 24 kill run while rocking a self-crafted copper kit and using the longsword as much as possible. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed, I'd appreciate a like and or comment on the video, as it helps a lot. The rest of the video is just going through all the stats to show that this is indeed my first death. That's it for now. Take it easy.